There's some great source material. Looks like a lecture on Introduction to Management Practice and Law. The source material starts pretty fundamentally. What is a project? It seems basic, but there's a specific definition here, right?
Sure is, yeah. The source defines it as a temporary endeavor with a specific set of goals, objectives, and constraints undertaken to create a unique product, service, improvement, or result.
Okay, temporary endeavor.
Exactly. It breaks down into a few key characteristics. First, temporary. It has a definite start and a definite end date. It's not ongoing operation.
Right, not like running a factory day to day.
Precisely. Second, it's unique. Every project creates something distinct. It's not just churning out the same thing over and over. Each one has its own specific requirements, its own challenges. Third, clear goals and objectives. You know what you're trying to achieve before you start.
Makes sense.
And finally, it requires resources. You need people, equipment, materials, money, all that stuff to actually make it happen.
That unique part really strikes me, especially in construction. I mean, you might build similar types of buildings, but the site is different, the ground conditions, the local rules, maybe even the client's specific needs.
Exactly right. That uniqueness forces adaptability. It's not like manufacturing where you perfect one process on an assembly line. Every construction project is, in a way, a prototype.
Huh. Interesting way to put it.
And the source also mentions what a project can create. It could be a physical product, like, a component or the whole building itself.
Okay.
Or it could be a service or the capability to perform a service, maybe setting up a new business function.
Right.
Or it could be focused on an improvement, like those Six Sigma projects you hear about, aimed at reducing errors or defects. Or finally, it could just produce a result, like a research project that develops new knowledge.
So thinking about things you tackle, big or small, through these lenses, temporary and unique with specific goals, that can really change how you approach it, can't it? Gives it structure.
Absolutely. It provides clarity.
Okay, so if that's a project, what about the management part? How does the source define project management? What's the framework for bringing these things to life?
Well, the definition given is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements.
Okay, applying knowledge, skills, tools.
Yeah, it's about actively steering the project. And this is typically done through 5 logically grouped sets of processes.
5 process groups, what are they?
First is initiating. That's where you define the project or a new phase, and you get the official go-ahead, the authorization.
Okay, getting started.
Then planning. This is crucial. Establishing the scope, refining the objectives, figuring out the exact course of action needed, laying out the roadmap.
Nice, the detailed plan.
Then executing. This is where the actual work gets done, following the plan you just made.
Boots on the ground.
Then monitoring and controlling.
Yeah.
This runs alongside execution. You're tracking progress, reviewing performance, checking if you're on track, and identifying if any changes are needed.
Keeping an eye on everything.
Exactly. And finally, closing. Wrapping everything up, finalizing all activities across all the groups, and formally closing out the project or the phase.
That seems pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
And this brings us to something really interesting. The source mentions the constraints. You said projects have constraints.
Yes, absolutely critical. Every project manager is juggling these.
Oh, are they?
The source lists 6 key ones: time, quality, cost, scope, meaning what is and isn't included in the project resources, and risks.
6. Okay. Time, quality, cost, scope, resources, risks. That sounds like a lot to balance.
It absolutely is. And the key thing our reading highlights is that they're all interconnected. They form this kind of iron triangle or maybe an iron hexagon here.
Right. You can't just change one without impacting the others.
Exactly. If you want it faster, time, it might cost more.
Yeah.
Cost, or maybe quality suffers quality. If the client suddenly wants more features, scope, that's going to hit time and cost too.
Yeah, I can see that. It really is a tightrope walk. Thinking about these factors, time, quality, cost, scope, resources, risks, that framework, you could apply that to almost any task, couldn't you? Even planning a big event or launching a website.
Precisely. It forces you to think through the trade-offs.
Now, this systematic approach, it's not just random ideas. Our material mentions 2 important acronyms, PMI and PMBOK. What are these? Why do they matter so much?
Right. So PMI is the Project Management Institute. It's a huge global nonprofit organization. Their whole focus is on advancing project management as a profession, the practice, the science behind it.
Okay, the professional body.
Exactly. And then there's the PMBOK guide that stands for the Project Management Body of Knowledge.
PMBOK guide. Got it.
This guide is basically the globally recognized standard for project management. It contains all the accumulated knowledge, the good practices that have been developed and proven over time by people actually doing the work.
So it's like the official handbook.
Pretty much. It's constantly evolving, too, based on what works. And it's the foundation for many professional certifications in project management.
So why does having a standardized body of knowledge like PMBOK matter so much? Is it just about everyone speaking the same language?
That's part of it. The common language is huge, but it's more than that. Think of it as like a massive risk reduction tool for the whole industry globally.
How so?
Well, without it, everyone would be kind of reinventing the wheel on every project, right? Making the same mistakes others have already learned from. The PMBOK captures that collective wisdom. It helps avoid predictable failures and makes projects, more predictable, more likely to succeed.
Right. Reduces chaos, improves the odds. That makes sense.
Definitely.
Okay, let's zoom in now specifically on the construction industry. The source material calls it the boom and bust industry. What's behind that name, and what are its main characteristics?
Yeah, boom and bust. It gets that name because construction activity tends to really closely follow and even amplify the overall economy.
Amplify.
Well, when the economy is doing well, there's often a huge surge in construction, spending new buildings, infrastructure, everything. But when the economy slows down, construction often gets hit first and hardest. Spending can drop off dramatically.
So it's very cyclical, a real economic indicator.
A very important one, yes. And its overall economic impact is massive. Globally, it can make up something like 5 to 8% of a country's entire gross national product, their GNP.
Wow, that's significant.
Huge. And think about the jobs it creates, directly and indirectly. It has a really high multiplier effect on other industries, suppliers, manufacturers, transport, finance.
All right, ripples outwards.
Exactly. Now, another characteristic is its kind of blended nature. It's a bit like manufacturing because you're creating a physical product and it can be very complex production-wise. But it's also like a service industry because its success depends so heavily on the skills and quality of its people, maybe more so than just assets or capital.
Interesting mix.
Yeah. And then there's fragmentation. This is a big one. The construction industry is generally very fragmented. There's often no single central focus. You have tons of different parties, stakeholders, power groups, contractors, unions, developers, government agencies, suppliers, all influencing things.
Lots of moving parts, lots of different interests.
Very much so. And linked to that, unfortunately, the source also points out that the industry in many places has historically struggled with performance and cost effectiveness.
Really? Why is that?
Its complex fragmentation plays a role, the cyclical nature, the uniqueness of each project, but it's led to a lot of research, a lot of reports saying, essentially, we need to manage these projects better.
So understanding these unique challenges, the boom and bust cycles, the fragmentation, the performance issues, it really highlights how complex this industry is. It's not just about bricks and mortar, it's managing this incredibly dynamic, economically vital ecosystem.
Well put. It's a constant navigation act.
So in such a fragmented industry, who are the key players? Who holds the main responsibilities? Our source details the stakeholders.
Right. It breaks it down quite clearly. There are 3 primary stakeholders mentioned. First, you have the owner or the client.
The one paying the bills.
Essentially, yes. They're the ones who define the need, the project criteria. They might have special requirements, like specifying a particular supplier. They set the budget, the key dates, provide the financing, and decide how involved they want to be.
Okay, the driving force. Who's next?
Next are the consultants. This group typically includes the architects and engineers, the AE role.
The designers.
Exactly. Their job is to come up with design options, produce the detailed designs and specifications based on the owner's needs, review the technical drawings the contractor submits, called shop drawings, conduct inspections during construction, supervise the work, and report progress back to the owner.
Okay, design and oversight.
And the third primary stakeholder is the contractor. This is the entity that actually builds the project.
The builder.
Right. They provide the necessary resources, the labor, the materials, the equipment. They need to prepare accurate cost estimates and realistic work schedules. And ultimately, their responsibility is to deliver the project on time, meeting the specified quality, and within the agreed budget.
Owner, consultant, contractor. That seems like the core triangle. But the source mentions other parties, too.
It does, yeah, because it's rarely just those 3. You have subcontractors who are often brought in by the main contractor for specialized work. They might have specific expertise or resources or even help with financing certain parts.
Like electricians, plumbers.
Exactly, specialized trades. Then governments play a huge role, setting regulations, building codes, environmental rules, zoning. They shape the whole legal and political environment.
Can't forget them.
Definitely not. You also have suppliers, obviously, providing all the materials and equipment, and then other stakeholders like lending institutions providing loans and insurance firms managing risk.
It's a crowded field.
It really is. And sort of trying to orchestrate all of this is the project manager, the PM.
Ah, the PM. Where do they fit?
The PM is typically assigned by the organization actually performing the work, often the contractor, but sometimes the owner or consultant firm. Their job is to lead the project team, coordinate all these players, and they're usually the one held accountable for whether the project succeeds or fails.
Wow. So that breakdown of responsibilities just makes it crystal clear how much coordination is needed. It's not just managing tasks, it's managing complex relationships between all these different players with potentially different priorities.
It's a huge part of the job. Communication and coordination are paramount. It really is like conducting an orchestra.
Yeah, a very complex orchestra. Okay, finally, let's look at the different types of construction. Our source categorizes them. What's the range here?
It lays out 4 broad categories. First up is residential projects.
Okay, houses and apartments.
Exactly. Homes, apartment buildings, that kind of thing. This is a big chunk of the market, maybe 30–35%, mostly financed privately, highly influenced by things like interest rates, government housing policies, consumer confidence. Lots of small firms operate here. Architecture is obviously key, and it tends to be quite labor-intensive.
Got it. What's next?
Second is building projects. This is actually the largest slice, maybe 35–40% of the market. Think schools, hospitals, office buildings, theaters, shopping centers.
So institutional and commercial buildings.
Right. Mostly financed by the private sector, but public funding too for things like schools. Generally more complex than residential, wider scope. Architecture is again very important and also quite labor intensive.
Okay.
Two down. Third category, heavy engineering projects. This is about 20–25% of the market. Here we're talking about major infrastructure dams, tunnels, bridges, highways, airports, water treatment plants.
The big civil engineering stuff.
Precisely. Usually financed by the public sector, so government funding is key. This is primarily the domain of civil and structural engineers. Projects are often awarded through competitive bidding processes, and they tend to be very equipment-intensive, think big machinery.
Right, lots of earth moving in concrete.
You got it. And the final category is industrial projects. This is the smallest segment, maybe 5–10% of the market share.
What falls under industrial?
Things like power plants, oil refineries, chemical plants, manufacturing facilities can be financed publicly or privately. The defining feature here is usually extreme complexity. They require very high levels, very specialized engineering expertise across multiple disciplines, and they are often intensive in both labor and specialized equipment.
Wow, quite a range. From building a house to building a nuclear power plant, they're all construction projects, but so different.
Vastly different. Different players, different risks, different financing, different technologies.
Which really underscores why management approaches have to be tailored, doesn't it? You can't manage building a house the same way you manage building a refinery.
Not at all. The scale, complexity, and risk profiles demand different strategies.
So, wrapping this up then, we've covered a lot of ground. We started with a very definition of a project, temporary, unique, goals, resources. We unpacked project management, the 5 process groups, those 6 crucial constraints. Then we dove into the construction industry itself, that boom and bust cycle, its fragmentation, the key players from owner to contractor to PM, and finally these diverse project types.
Yeah, quite a journey through the fundamentals.
And what this really shows, I think, is that understanding these concepts gives you a powerful way to look at any complex undertaking, whether it's building a skyscraper or, launching a major initiative at work.
That's absolutely right. The core principles, defining what you're doing, planning how you'll do it, actually doing it, keeping track, and then finishing it properly. Those apply everywhere. It's a universal framework for getting complex things done. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, picking up on that boom and bust nature we discussed. Given how vital construction is to the economy, but also how volatile and fragmented it can be, it really raises a question, doesn't it?
Which is?
What further innovations in project management itself might be needed, to help stabilize performance in this crucial industry, ensure it can consistently deliver societal needs despite those inherent challenges. Something to think about.
That is a great question to ponder. How do we make such a vital yet volatile industry more resilient through better management? Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel more informed and maybe see the built world around you with slightly different eyes. Until next time.